In America, the land of the free, tragedy has echoed through school halls, places of worship, nightclubs, and city streets. Today, we count down the 15 deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. This is not to spread fear. This is to educate, to remember, and to ask ourselves how we got here. At number 15, we begin in Charleston, South Carolina. It is the evening of June 17th, 2015. The sun has set, and inside Mother Emanuel AME Church, one of the oldest black churches in the United States, a small group has gathered for Bible study. They open their hearts to a young stranger who joins them that night. For nearly an hour, they pray together. They talk about Scripture. They share fellowship. And then the unthinkable. The young man they welcomed with kindness rises, pulls out a gun, and opens fire. 9 worshipers are killed, including Reverend Clementa Pinckney, a state senator and the church's beloved pastor. This was not just an attack on a church. It was an act of racial terror that shocked the nation. In the aftermath, communities across the country mourned, and South Carolina removed the Confederate flag from its state house grounds, a symbol long associated with hate. Charleston became a turning point, a reminder that hatred, when left unchecked, can turn into violence. Number 14 takes us to Thousand Oaks, California, November 7th, 2018. It's college country night at the Borderline Bar and Grill, a place where young people go to dance, laugh, and escape from stress for just a few hours. As the night is winding down, a former Marine steps inside, dressed in black. Within minutes, the sound of country music is replaced by the sound of gunfire and screams. 12 people are killed, including Sergeant Ron Helis, a sheriff's deputy who ran toward the danger to save others. The gunman then turns the weapon on himself. For survivors, the horror is almost too much to comprehend. Some had also been at the Las Vegas shooting just a year before, living through 2 of the deadliest mass shootings in modern American history. The Borderline shooting left a small, tight-knit community grieving and asking once again why such tragedy seems to find them. Number 13 is Buffalo, New York, May 14th, 2022. It's a quiet Saturday afternoon. People are picking up groceries, chatting in the aisles, making plans for dinner. But one man has been planning something else entirely. Armed with an assault-style rifle and clad in body armor, he live-streams his attack as he enters Tops Friendly Market, a grocery store serving a predominantly black neighborhood. In just minutes, 10 lives are taken. The victims range from a retired police officer to a grandmother who baked for her church every Sunday. This was not random, it was targeted. A hate crime fueled by white supremacist ideology spread online. The Buffalo shooting forced the nation to confront the rise of extremist violence and the dangerous power of radicalization on the internet. Number 12 brings us to Santa Fe, Texas, May 18th, 2018. It is early morning at Santa Fe High School. The first bell has just rung. Students are chatting, thinking about the weekend ahead, about summer vacation just around the corner. Then shots ring out in the art room. Chaos erupts. Students hide under desks. Teachers shout for everyone to get down. 10 people, 8 students and 2 teachers are killed. 13 more are wounded. Unlike many other school shootings, the firearms used in this attack were legally owned by the shooter's father, raising questions about secure storage laws and parental responsibility. In the aftermath, survivors and parents stood before lawmakers, pleading for changes to protect students. Changes that many communities are still fighting for to this day. At number 11, we arrive in Parkland, Florida. It is February 14th, 2018, Valentine's Day. At Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, students exchange candy and cards. Some are heading to after-school practice. Others are texting their parents to say they love them. Then, a former student walks into the building armed with a semi-automatic rifle. Within minutes, the halls are filled with terror. 17 people are killed. Another 17 are wounded. But Parkland is remembered not only for its tragedy, but for what followed. Survivors turned grief into action, forming March for Our Lives, one of the largest youth-led movements in American history, demanding safer schools and stronger gun laws. Parkland became a symbol of a generation unwilling to stay silent. Number 10 takes us to Uvalde, Texas, May 24th, 2022. It is the last week of the school year at Robb Elementary. Students are excited, thinking about field days, awards, and summer break. Just before noon, an 18-year-old enters the school with an AR-15 style rifle. What follows is 77 minutes of terror that will forever haunt the small community of Uvalde. 19 children and 2 teachers are killed. Parents wait outside the school, begging police to go in. Videos later show that dozens of officers stood in the hallway for over an hour before finally confronting the shooter. The grief in Uvalde turned to outrage. It became one of the most controversial law enforcement responses in modern history, sparking investigations, hearings, and a renewed push for stronger gun legislation at the state and federal level. At number 9, we go back nearly 4 decades to San Ysidro, California, July 18, 1984. It is a summer afternoon. Families are sitting down for lunch at a McDonald's. Children are playing in the play area. Then, a heavily armed man walks in and begins shooting, methodically, relentlessly. For 77 terrifying minutes, he fires at customers and staff before police finally take him down. 21 people are killed, ranging in age from 8 months to 74 years old. It remains one of the most shocking and senseless massacres in U.S. history. This tragedy forever changed the San Ysidro community, and is still studied by criminologists today as a case of premeditated public mass murder. Number 8 brings us to Lewiston, Maine. October 25th, 2023. The town of Lewiston is quiet, peaceful, the kind of place where everyone seems to know each other. That calm is shattered when a gunman opens fire at a bowling alley, then drives to a bar and does the same. 18 people are killed, 13 more injured, in what becomes the deadliest mass shooting in Maine's history. For 2 days, the entire region is locked down as law enforcement hunt for the suspect. Residents shelter in place, afraid to even step outside. When the gunman is finally found dead of a self-inflicted wound, Lewiston is left with grief, trauma, and questions about how someone flagged for mental health concerns and dangerous behavior was still able to keep weapons of war. Number 7 takes us to Killeen, Texas, October 16, 1991. It is lunchtime at Luby's cafeteria. The restaurant is busy. Customers eating, chatting, laughing. Suddenly, a man crashes his truck through the front window, jumps out, and begins firing at random. 23 people are killed in just minutes before the gunman turns the weapon on himself. Among the survivors is Dr. Susanna Hupp, who later becomes one of the most vocal advocates for concealed carry laws, arguing that if she had been armed that day, she could have stopped him. The Luby's massacre became a defining moment in the debate over self-defense, concealed carry, and public safety, a debate that still rages today. At number 6, we return to Texas once again, this time to El Paso, August 3, 2019. It is a busy Saturday morning at a Walmart near the Cielo Vista Mall. Families are shopping for back-to-school supplies. Children are running down the aisles. A gunman drives nearly 10 hours to this location, specifically targeting Latinos. Armed with a semi-automatic rifle, he opens fire, killing 23 people and injuring dozens more. Investigators discover a manifesto filled with racist and anti-immigrant rhetoric. The attack is declared an act of domestic terrorism. For El Paso, a border city known for its warmth and unity, the massacre leaves a deep scar and serves as a grim reminder of how hate can turn into mass violence. At number 5, we return to Texas. Sutherland Springs, November 5th, 2017. It is Sunday morning at the First Baptist Church. Children are coloring in Sunday school. Families are singing hymns. Then, just after the service begins, gunfire rips through the sanctuary. The shooter, armed with a rifle and wearing tactical gear, kills 26 people, ranging in age from just 18 months old to 77 years old. It becomes the deadliest shooting at a place of worship in U.S. history. When the attacker steps outside, a local resident grabs his own rifle and exchanges fire, chasing the gunman down until police catch up. For the survivors, Sutherland Springs is no longer just a quiet rural town. It becomes a symbol of resilience and a flashpoint in the conversation about gun laws, background checks, and access to firearms for those with histories of domestic violence. Number 4 takes us to Newtown, Connecticut, December 14th, 2012. Inside Sandy Hook Elementary, students are hanging up coats and starting their morning routines. The holiday season is just days away, But the morning is shattered when a young man armed with a rifle forces his way into the school. He kills 20 first-grade children, all between 6 and 7 years old, and 6 adults who tried to protect them. The nation is horrified. Vigils are held in every state. The victims' names become a heartbreaking roll call that Americans will never forget. Sandy Hook becomes a turning point. Parents turn into activists. Lawmakers call for stronger background checks and restrictions on high-capacity magazines. While federal reform stalls, states like Connecticut and New York pass sweeping gun laws in the wake of the tragedy. Sandy Hook remains one of the most devastating days in American history, a tragedy that still defines the conversation about school safety and gun control. Number 3 takes us to Blacksburg, Virginia, April 16, 2007. The day begins like any other at Virginia Tech University. Students are heading to class, grabbing coffee, and preparing for exams. Then, in 2 separate attacks just hours apart, a student opens fire in a dormitory and then in Norris Hall. In a matter of minutes, 32 people are killed and 17 more wounded, making it the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history. The shooter dies by suicide as police close in. In the aftermath, questions are raised about mental health interventions, campus security, and background check loopholes that allowed him to legally purchase firearms despite a history of mental illness. Virginia Tech responds by overhauling its emergency response system, and universities across the country implement new alert systems and lockdown procedures, forever changing the way campuses prepare for emergencies. At number 2, we travel to Orlando, Florida, June 12, 2016. It is Latin night at Pulse nightclub, a safe haven for the LGBTQ+ community. The music is loud, the dance floor is full, and people are celebrating life. Shortly after 2 a.m., a man armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a handgun enters and begins shooting. For 3 hours, clubgoers hide wherever they can, bathrooms, corners, behind furniture, as police attempt to negotiate. 49 lives are lost and more than 50 are injured. It becomes the deadliest attack on LGBTQ+ people in U.S. history and the deadliest mass shooting until Las Vegas. Pulse becomes a symbol of both tragedy and resilience. Vigils are held worldwide. The site later becomes a memorial, reminding the world that hate will not silence love. And finally, at number 1, we arrive at Las Vegas, Nevada, October 1st, 2017. It is the final night of the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. More than 22,000 people are gathered on the Strip, singing along under the desert sky. From the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, a gunman has spent days stockpiling weapons and ammunition. Just after 10 p.m., he smashes the windows and begins firing into the crowd below, round after round for more than 10 minutes. Concertgoers run for cover, carrying the wounded, shielding strangers, doing anything they can to survive. By the time the gunfire stops, 60 people are dead and more than 850 are injured. It remains the deadliest mass shooting in American history. In the aftermath, hotels across Las Vegas change their security procedures. Lawmakers call for bans on bump stocks, devices that allow rifles to fire faster, and the federal government eventually follows through. Las Vegas is forever changed. The victims are remembered each year at the site of the attack. A solemn reminder of the night when joy turned into chaos in an instant. These 15 tragedies span decades, regions, and circumstances. They are school shootings, hate crimes, acts of terrorism, and random massacres. But one thing unites them: lives stolen too soon. Remembering them is not easy, but it is necessary. Because until we confront the roots of this violence, until we find real solutions, this list will continue to grow. And for every name we have said here, there are hundreds more. Survivors, witnesses, families, living with the echoes of these moments every day. If this video helped you understand the impact of these tragedies, we ask you to share it, like, subscribe, and spread it so others can be informed too. Education is one of the first steps toward change. And the more people who know, the more we can work together to stop this cycle.